Riley Logan dug his feet into the ooze. His bright blue eyes glared at the insistent mouse surrounding him. He gripped the pitchfork tighter, trying to keep from slipping on the dung underneath his boots. It was a difficult job to remain standing in the middle of a herd of hungry woolies. The sheep bumped and charged at him as they fought to reach the hay at the end of his fork. Riley pushed them away with a growl. "Get out of the way!" The herd pushed at him even harder. Their superior numbers were more than a match for his temper. He dropped the bale in the middle of the yard and jumped out of the way. With his pitchfork raised in defeat, he scrambled out of the pen and fell on his backside in the grass. "Careful, little Whiskers," his brother Patrick snorted, lifting his lantern. "Wouldn't want Mother's baby hurt." "Hurt? He'll wish he'd been trampled to death if Dad finds out he forgot to do the afternoon feed again." George, another of the Logan boys, led his younger brother to gather around the pen. They snickered as Riley hurried to his feet. Mr. Logan had fathered 7 sons. Each of them had a quick temper and a smart mouth. Riley grabbed his lantern off the post, and he followed his brothers, not wanting to tempt his dad's anger. A horse and wagon raced at a reckless pace down the hill through the stone pillars marking the entrance to their farm. Riley shook his head. His horse must be kicking up enough dust to cover their porch in dirt. And one guess who'd get stuck washing it down. "What's he doing, the damn fool? His horse could break a leg charging about in the dark." George spat at this piece of straw hanging upon his lips. "Mum won't be fit to live with if the supper gets cold." McTavish's feet and supplies stretched along the side of the buckboard in dark blue letters. Angus McTavish reined in his ponies and stopped at the farmyard close to the house. He was an older man with no shortage of middle-aged plump upon his belly. Struggling off the buckboard, Mr. McTavish leaned breathlessly upon his side. He waved wildly as they approached. "I have news!" The farm door creaked open and Riley's mum came out on the porch. Drying her hands on a long apron covered in flour, she ran quick fingers across her blonde hair. A few of the strands had escaped through the tight bun she wore on top of her head. The omniscient eyes of a mother of 7 took them in. "What is it, Angus?" She dusted off the bench for their guest. "Come in, have some tea." "No, thank you, Laura. There's no time." Mr. McTavish shook his head. "I hardly know where to start. So much has happened." Riley moved a little closer as the man took a seat on their front porch. He was itching with curiosity. This must be big news indeed. The militia had their share of skirmishes with the Amity Raiders in summertime, but little happened to disrupt the boredom of a Haven Bay autumn night. Amity Raiders came up to the Mackenzie farm and carried off their girl, Alice. Raiders this close to winter? That doesn't make any sense. Haven Bay guarded her coastline year-round. They'd put in a relay system of alarms to warn their neighbors along the farm row. Each alarm was constantly manned during raider season. This time of year, however, the farmers turned their concerns to the oncoming winter months. The alarm bells outside Haven Bay remained silent and forgotten. The Mackenzie men with my son Rob, elder in Newcastle, and some of the other local farmers went looking for her. Guess what they found? "Tell us, man," Patrick grunted and got a good whack on the back of his head. They followed the smoke from a grass fire in the far fields to find Seth McLeod with Alice in his arms. 5 Amity Raiders were dead at his feet. Riley stared open-mouthed at their visitor. Seth had fought and won against 5 Raiders? And stuck-up Alice Mackenzie had let Seth touch her? What in the green fields had happened to his best friend? Seth McLeod wasn't a warrior or a lover. He'd barely been able to talk to Alice or any other girl during school. Fighting off raiders. What had Seth been thinking, missing the night bell again? He'd been warned so often Sergeant Gunn had threatened to make him wash all the uniforms in the militia. This was more serious than a joyride along the cliffs. Seth was in real trouble and he needed help. And he'd get it whether he wanted it or not.